For more on the various risks that face the market right now and some thoughts about the economic situation around the globe, let's bring in the founder of Reality Check, Alan Tonelson, and CNBC's senior market analyst and a senior advisor to Schroders North America. That would be Ron Insana. Alan, let me start with you here and get you to talk a little bit about what's going on between the United States and China. How big a collision is this?
Tyler, I'm not sure it's so much of a collision, even economically, than a very slow motion or perhaps steady motion divorce. And certainly the announcement made by President Trump last night concerning these two Chinese social media apps is part of that. And what's going on, the way I see it, is the Trump administration is indeed trying to reverse what had become a very dangerous pattern dominating U.S. policy toward China. It's what I would call a normalization pattern. That is, viewing China as a normal country with which we can conduct normal commerce, which was normally structured just like most of our other economic partners or rivals, and whose system pretty much looked like ours, or at least was increasingly looking like ours, despite all the evidence we've seen, especially over the last few years, to the contrary. So as we had started to normalize ties with China, or I should say, as we've been proceeding to normalize ties with China, President Trump has, I think, quite rightly decided to start denormalizing and recognized that we really don't want to become more entangled with the Chinese system, whether it be economically, whether it be on social media. We want to become less entangled.
I want to get Ron's thoughts here in just a moment, but first, Alan, let me come back to you with another question. Are we moving, in your view, to a kind of binary world where there is a Chinese internet and an internet that is governed by Western and U.S. kinds of standards with respect to what companies that control data do with that data, with respect to freedom of speech and so forth? Are we looking at a two-source world in the internet?
That's certainly the question of the hour, and in my view, that movement is not only inevitable, but it's highly desirable precisely because China is so very different and so very dangerous. Now, it's quite possible that at some point down the road, technology could come up with a way to make interacting with Chinese technology truly safe in terms not only of the privacy of American citizens, but of U.S. national security. But we're clearly not there yet. And as long as China persists in the kinds of behaviors across the board that have quite rightly alarmed so many Americans, I don't see any other choice but for the U.S. government to pursue this very steady divorce.
So, Ron, what do you think? Alan has just laid out giving the president credit for standing up to what's going on here with respect to TikTok and WeChat and the internet more broadly. What do you say?
Well, strategically, I have not disagreed with the administration's position that we had to take China to task on a wide variety of issues, whether it's intellectual property theft or trade secrets or what have you, and generally a lack of reciprocity on trade. I mean, tactically right now, I'm not sure it's the best time in the midst of this pandemic as the economy is slowing down to launch what could end up being a full-scale trade war. The Chinese still haven't fulfilled the obligations under phase one of the trade deal that was agreed upon December 15th of last year. So I think that, yes, I mean, obviously this is the way in which the entire world may be going. I think the splintering of the New World Order, the notion of constructive engagement with China that George H.W. Bush really embraced and was carried on by his successors up until now, may have failed. Having said that, I think we have to be extremely careful about how we go about this.